The business in public session, if everyone would stand for the pledge. And also after the pledge, if you would remain standing for a couple of words and a moment of silence. Because this week has been so focused on educators and the education system and what all of our educators mean to us, I'd like to ask the president of the BTA, Pat Brady, to lead us in the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please remain standing. So we decorated in green tonight just to honor what's been happening in our adjacent district in Farmingdale. And everybody in education has been affected by what happened to the marching band in that district. And you could feel it no matter where you go. And of all the quotes that were presented during this time, I really felt the quote that was sent out by Melinda Person, the NYSCOSS president, the New York State Union of Teachers president, posted. And I'd like to read it here tonight in honor of not only Farmingdale, but all districts and all educators and all of our support staff. So it says, the NYSCOSS family is devastated by the gravity of this tragedy, especially the loss of two exceptional educators and the injuries suffered by so many students. We join all who knew Beatrice and Gina in their grief. The impact of this trauma will be felt by students, educators, and family members in Farmingdale and beyond. NYSCOSS will be there to support our community in Farmingdale as they process this unimaginable disaster. And I'd like to say South Country will be there too. If we could just stand for a moment of silence in honor and recognition of the lives that were lost and those that are still suffering. Thank you. Please be seated. We'd just like to remind everyone of the emergency exits to the rear of the building, to my right and to the audience left, in the event of emergency, to please exit through those emergency exits in a calm fashion and leave and be reminded that this is a smoke-free school district. Smoking is not permitted in the building or anywhere on the school grounds. This is also a hate-free and bully-free school district. So with that, we have the board consent agenda, item C. Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, President Felice, and thank you for those words. I think we've all been impacted. The world of educators is really small, especially when it comes to our music community, so thank you for that. The administration recommends the approval of board consent items reflected in schedules C1 through C5.
Okay, we need a motion for C1 through C5. Is there a motion? Motion by Vice President Hayes, seconded by Trustee Kavanaugh. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please raise your hands. The motion passes unanimously. I actually just noticed I wanted to have a question of the Assistant Superintendent for Business. Because we now have the Treasurer's Report, which closes out our 2023 school year, could you just make reference to the fund balance and how that affects our reserves?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is still
Would
preliminary.
you mind stepping to the
Sure.
podium? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, I just wanted to add that it's still preliminary, that is not final, but we are going to be following our reserve plan. So far, we are estimating that we will be putting in approximately $6.8 million into our reserves, and we will still have the 4% of unassigned fund balance.
All right, thank you. We look forward to further reports from you. Thank you very much.
Just to note that we'll have a comprehensive report at our audit committee meeting.
Yes. Okay. Very well. Okay, we're up to communications and announcements and the superintendent's report.
Thank you. And we Hope nobody looks at my password.
You'll have to change it again tomorrow.
I apparently wasn't in the frame, so I also thought I was losing my vision. I realized I had my reading glasses on. All right, welcome everybody. So this brings us our superintendent's report for September 27th. Let me begin with Meet the Teacher. I had the privilege of visiting all, actually 6 buildings of the 7 buildings for the Meet the Teacher night. Really pleased with the amount of parents that turned out. These are some photos from Brookhaven Elementary School. Staff and parents were all sort of delighted to get together and sort of share their instructional practices. Same was true for Critz Elementary School. These are photos with representatives of the various PTAs. I do encourage our community members to join their school's PTA. It doesn't require a time commitment, but all the money is raised goes back to the students and for school activities. So please, if you haven't done so, consider joining the PTA. I stopped by Kramer Street, but unfortunately did not take any photos, which is very unlike me, so apologies to Kramer Kingdom, but the same sort of energy was there, with lots of parents attending and staff doing their thing. Frank P. Long, same was true. There's a photo there of Mr. Cobb entertaining some of the kids that came with their parents who decided to kind of separate from their parents, and he was showing them a trick that had to do with the multiplication table using your hands and figuring out the 9. So it was pretty intriguing to me at least, and I learned something new. Something that was different this year is that each of our principals, and this is a shot from Bellport Middle School, actually made a presentation to our parents when they first arrived. They talked about the importance of attendance, which is one of our district priorities, and one of our district improvement plan goals, which is to boost attendance. A lot of people don't know that, but research indicates that chronic absenteeism occurs if you only miss 2 days of school a month. It's about 18 days a year. So when you consider that and how it negatively impacts your performance, you really do want to emphasize the need for students to be in school and be present. And that was a shot from the PTA at the middle school, who also hosted a book fair. There were book fairs as well in each of the other buildings. Something that's new at the middle school is we're adopting our Pride sort of matrix, which is tied to our Flipper Pride. And as a reminder, Pride represents being prepared, respectful, involved, diligent, and ethical. And these matrices are hanging around the middle school that remind students what the expectations are in various locations in the school building. What does it mean to be prepared when you arrive to the cafeteria, for example? Some of the things seem like obvious, but we often find ourselves saying, oh, some kids just don't know what is expected, or worse than that, they'll say kids don't know how to behave. At what point do we teach them? And at what point do we provide explicit instruction, sort of expectations? The high school also had a Meet the Teacher night, which was very well attended. Big shout out to our National Honor Society for helping out, helping the parents move around the building, which gets confusing. And they also did a presentation for the parents talking about academic expectations, graduation requirements, and also announcing our Pride Day of Learning, which is coming actually this Friday, September 29th. A Pride Day of Learning is a day in which all the students engage in the same lessons, period 1 through 9. And to give you an example of what they'll be learning at Bellport Middle School, and we're implementing this in our middle school this year, but at Bellport Middle School, all students during period 1 will answer the question, why do I have to go to school? Seems like an obvious question, but it's sort of a workshop model for students. Period 2, what does it mean to be a Clipper? What is my responsibility as a student? Why are rules important? Why do I matter? How do my choices impact others? Growth mindset, team building, and then they'll participate in a digital time capsule. So all these things are meant to sort of make our expectations clear and to sort of speak to the social and emotional needs of the students. The high school will also be observing their Clipper Compassion Day, and their Pride lessons will begin with what is empathy, respect and community circles, social media and you, social media perspectives, social media ethics, kindness and community circles, cultural empathy, cultural celebration, and then a recap, period 9. So the whole idea is that we're all on the same page in terms of the type of environment we want to foster for our students. So this is something that I implemented at my high school in my former district that worked really well, and it's all driven by teachers. The topics for the lessons are all driven by teachers based on the needs of the building, and the idea is that you do this just a couple times a year, just sort of keep everybody together in terms of expectations for the school. So I'll report at our next superintendent meeting and or board meeting, and we'll discuss how it went. I also want to share some high school student achievements, which are pretty remarkable and a great source of Clipper pride. First, there was we had 6 seniors earned the prestigious AP capstone designation for graduation. This was a class of 2023 for their participation in AP seminar and AP research. 18 students earned AP seminar and research certificates, so that's a big accomplishment for those students. 34 AP scholars were named at Bellport High School, 19 of which earned a 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams. 6 earned the designation of an AP Scholar with honors, which includes students who earned a 3.25 on all AP exams and a 3 or higher on at least 3 of those exams. 9 students earned the AP Scholar with distinction, which includes students who had an average of a 3.5 on all AP exams and grades of a 4 or higher in at least 5 exams. So huge accomplishments for those students. I'm not going to read all their names, but this story is available on our website. So big shout out to them. In addition, 8 students earned national honors through the College Board National Recognition Program. These students come from underrepresented groups who earned a GPA of 3.5 or higher, excelled on the PSAT, and earned a 3 or higher on 2 or more AP exams. So congratulations to them. And then we get more specific, but Madeline Day is a graduate from the class of 2023. She was one of 337 students nationally who earned a perfect score on AP 2D Art and Design. So congratulations to her, that's a monumental accomplishment. And in the arts, we also had senior Amira Hussein, who was named a Scholar Artist in the category of Media Arts by the Long Island Arts Alliance. She is one of 20 students to earn the recognition on Long Island. So congratulations to her. Moving on to music, we had Emma Kugel and Michael Desi, who have been named as All-State Musicians and will be performing and representing South Country at the NYSMA Winter Conference. And finally, to athletics, we had Nicholas Reynoso, who was named to Newsday's Top 100 Long Island Boys Soccer Players list, and Tatum Sip and Caleb White were named to Newsday's Top 100 Long Island Football Players list. So congratulations to all these students who are doing their thing on the academic realm, in the arts realm, and in the athletic realm. We also had our high school club fair.
Mr. Superintendent?
Yes.
Could you also make sure that if any of their artwork is displayed in any shows or the NYSCOSS concert, that we be made aware of those presentations?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, your pleasure. We also hosted a club fair at the high school. I thought I jotted down a number, but there are numerous clubs and activities that high school students can participate in. Went too fast. Our catalog is actually posted on our high school website, which includes all of our extracurricular clubs, activities, and our athletics. So I really encourage high school students, you guys, to participate in which way they can. Again, it creates just a sense of community in our schools. So really happy about some of our new club offerings, like our ambassadors program. We're starting a school store at the middle school. So we're excited about those additions to our program. Going on to, it is the fall sports season. In case the community has not noticed, we've really been doing our best to sort of brand ourselves and create a little bit more excitement in our campus. So we added some signage to our athletic fields. There's going to be more to come, and we're really excited about that because the idea is to spread positive spirit in our athletic events. There was certainly a lot of spirit at our first home game, which was a couple of weeks ago. Again, photos from the game. Big shout out to our pep band, who are not large in number, but they're large in sound, who always add to the magic. And a shout out to our cheerleading team. That's actually a competitive team now. So some community members have noticed that they have not been at a couple of away games, but that's because now they're in a competitive league. So we're excited for them, and we wish them well in their cheer competitions. We also had a soccer game played on our new turf field, and I really wanted to give a shout out to the sportsmanship. These were two opposing players talking to each other and just catching up, which I thought was really sweet considering the competitive nature of the soccer game I saw that afternoon. And again, I went to another football game at night. This was at Newfield High School. And really what stood out to me, I had an opportunity to go up in the stands and talk to some of our community members. So it was always nice to see community coming together for these events. For more than these sports, we have our cross-country team who took the ferry out to meet this last weekend, who competed in the rain. they run rain or shine. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our cross-country team, our varsity golf team, who arguably played in much better conditions, but they did their competitive thing over at the golf course, and our tennis team that continues to strive and do well. Again, we have a variety of sports up at the high school. This is a list of all our sports, and it's my expectation to hit each of the sporting events this year, and also start highlighting our middle school sports that are well underway as well. This month, we're also observing Hispanic Heritage Month. The high school had the privilege of having a presentation made by Mr. Rosetto. He comes from an organization called Not in Our Town, which represents, they speak to bullying and sort of this idea that we should all sort of get along and sort of steer away from hate crimes. His presentation was very well received by the students and impactful. For those of you who don't know, his brother was killed in Patchogue a few years ago, and he was an immigrant to this country. And so that inspired him, who was a laborer, a welder, to become a motivational speaker. And he's been touring the country, kind of spreading a message of love and kindness and tolerance. But Hispanic Heritage Month spans September and October. It's month-long, but it doesn't have a specific designated month. That's because the dates coincide with a lot of the Independence Days of various Latin American countries. So there are going to be more activities throughout this long observance, and I'll bring the board up to speed at our next board meeting. I also wanted to give a shout out to BHS TV. I did my first interview with the TV station. It was during first period, so it was at 10 a.m., so it was a little early, but I was energetic and did my best. And I'm looking forward to seeing the broadcast. And finally, I just wanted to sort of speak about community collaboration. We have our community resource network meetings that are going to start in October. But this is just a shot of us working together with the village, Suffolk County Police to address some concerns and see how best we can work together for the betterment of our entire community. So it is a collaborative effort and something I totally want to reinforce. And finally, as President Felice mentioned, last week, Farmingdale really experienced unimaginable tragedy. And so we basically showed our solidarity by wearing green yesterday. And the high school went all out in terms of their just participating, showing their love and their respect. We do have staff members who live in Farmingdale who are directly impacted, but we're all impacted. And Mr. Sodi from the high school dropped off one of the signs that was made by our high school students that's being displayed at Farmingdale High School as we speak. So they'll be closed tomorrow just to provide counseling, but just keep them in our thoughts and prayers, not just the victims, but all the people impacted by this horrible tragedy. It's important that we show our solidarity and our kindness. And finally, this weekend, I'm excited to be attending the NYSCOSS Fall Leadership Summit. This is the New York State Council of School Superintendents. All of the superintendents in New York State will be in attendance, including the commissioner, and there are several keynote speakers, one of which is yours truly, and I'm really proud to be representing South Country up in Saratoga. I'm going to be joined by Dr. Betty Rosa, the Commissioner of Education, Dr. Chuck Diedrich, who's the Executive Director of NYSCOSS, Dr. Jason Andrews, he is the Superintendent of Windsor Central School District upstate, Dr. Manny Scott, who's a motivational speaker, Joseph Viscoporti, he is the Superintendent of Dryden Central School District, and Dr. Tonya Thompson, who's the Superintendent of the Binghamton City School District. And I will also be providing a keynote address on my topic, which is the world is different and there's no going back. How can we best push through our anxiety and uncertainty to provide our students with an experience that meets their academic, social, and emotional needs? So I'm excited about that. It will be broadcast, and I will share it with the board once it's done. So I'm happy to represent South Country, and I'll look forward to reporting back. And finally, for community members and board members, if you want to stay in touch with South Country happenings, please check out our community portal. You can subscribe to our Blackboard Connect account. You'll receive district correspondence via electronic mail. There's also a new social media link on our website that gives us all the handles of the various social media platforms that we use in South Country. There's also a link for the Superintendent's Corner, which includes my contact info, my Twitter feed, which is now known as X, and of course my weekly update, which is kind of a weekly blog I provide the school district on a weekly basis. And that concludes my report. I want to thank the board again for the continued service, and thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to the trustee and advisory committee reports. We'll start with trustee Kavanaugh. Do you have anything to report?
I have nothing to report, but I just wanted to mention that I was really moved by what our district did yesterday in support of Farmingdale, and stating unequivocally that we're all Dalers and we all support each other. So I just wanted to mention that. I was very, very proud of the district in the showing that they gave in support of Farmingdale.
Thank you, trustee Kavanaugh. Okay, Vice President Hayes.
Nothing.
Okay. And just briefly, I attended one New York State School Board Association website webinar. And the title of it has to do with something that we unfortunately all have to deal with. I'm just not gonna repeat it because it's just too horrific, but I was pleased to have attended the seminar to understand the prevention measures that are taking place, and rest assured that our district is well informed on all the safety measures that are necessary for not only our staff, but our students. And I was happy to see that much of the items that were spoken about are already in place here at South Country. And that brings us up to public commentary and the guides and the rules under the guides to board meetings. So we have one speaker. Normally, we reserve the beginning commentary to agenda items and the second at the end of the meeting to non-agenda items or agenda items. But in this case, this was going to be an agenda item, but we decided it wasn't necessary for the reasons that we'll get into after the speaker speaks. So if Louisa, can you pronounce your last name for me?
Idachico.
Idachico.
Yes.
If Louisa Idachico could just present to the podium, and she would like to speak about special education PTA.
Yes. Hi, I am Luisa Idachico. I have been a district resident since 2007. I have 2 young children in the district. They are in 6th grade and 1st grade, and they both have individualized education plans or IEPs. When I was going through the special education process for them, it was complicated, difficult, and scary. And when I attend educational meetings for them, it is still overwhelming, intimidating, frustrating, but most of all, lonely. I have 20 years of experience as a special educator at Longwood High School. And if I still have those feelings, I wonder how it feels to those without my background. So this is where a special education PTA in our district would be beneficial. Often there are Facebook inquiries about our district having a special education PTA. And in the most recent post, upon hearing that we did not have a special education PTA, many people questioned why not and expressed a desire to establish one. Our district has over 4,000 students. 583 of them have IEPs and 504s. 67 are being educated outside of our district, and we have 86 classified preschoolers with a disability who will be joining our elementary schools. So these numbers indicate how many families from our district would benefit from a special education PTA. Instead of just sitting by and waiting for something to be created that no one is creating, Janice Erickson and I are determined to bring a special education PTA to South Country. And we're here to let our families know that we heard your need and we have begun the process. Once created, our special education PTA would be available to any community members district-wide. Our mission would be to build strong partnerships among parents, teachers, administrators, existing PTA, and the community. We would offer a sensory-friendly area at PTA, school, and community events for any child who may be overstimulated. We would advocate for a child's needs when participating in these events, and we would assist families when they attend educational meetings. In the future, we would like to offer workshops and bring in guest speakers to educate our families in several different areas, including but not limited to the special education process, laws, and regulations, the continuum of services within our district, understanding an IEP and 504 document, preparing for educational meetings, graduation requirements, Access VR and OPWDD services, post-secondary education, or employment. We would also like to eventually have a resource fair where service providers like doctors, dentists, hair services can speak about their training and the positive experiences they can offer children with special needs. And we would also invite community businesses and vendors to showcase their extracurricular activities and how children with special needs can be included. I want to thank Mr. Santana, the Board of Education, Carrie Carson, our Director of Special Ed, for giving us their support already. I want to specifically thank our community for their overwhelming encouragement as we embark on this journey to create a special education PTA for South Country. The only commitment we need to officially become a special education PTA is community membership and to nominate board members. Details and updates can be found on our Facebook page called SEPTA, S-E-P-T-A, for South Country, and that's where you can find details and updates. We look forward to being on this journey with you, and we are excited for what we can accomplish together.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Before you leave, I think the superintendent just wants to make a few comments.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think it's really important to get together. As someone who's sort of, I had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Chico both at Brookhaven's Meet the Teacher Night and also our PTA Council meeting last night, and we shared some stories and my own personal experience. I've been an educator for 26 years. When your children go through certain things that require special education, it's nerve-wracking, even for someone in the field. So I think it's good to establish just a group that can support each other, talk it out, and keep each other informed and feeling supported. So I applaud you for your partner, I don't recall your partner's name.
Janice.
Janice, for bringing this to South Country, and you have our full support.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Item F, item for discussion, board retreat. Did we set a date?
Thank you, President Felice. We narrowed it down to two dates, October 18th and November 8th. Seeing that most trustees are available October 18th, it is my recommendation that we schedule a retreat for October 18th.
Do we have to motion, do we have to move on that? No.
No.
Okay.
I think it's
So it's October 18th. Okay.
Thank you.
You did your canvassing and that's what we got. Okay, so we will participate, and it'll be here?
Yes.
The central office? Okay. 6 o'clock, 6 to 9?
Yeah, I'll
The
send more
normal time?
information as the
Okay.
date approaches.
Okay, terrific. That brings us up to items G, board consent agenda items for curriculum.
Yes, the administration recommends approval of curriculum items reflected in schedules G1 through G4.
Okay, we need a motion for G1 through G4. Was your hand going up? Trustee Kavanaugh, seconded by Vice President Hayes. I would, since two of these items include field trips, and considering what we just went through, just make sure our certifications with the bus companies that we are dealing with, if there are bus companies on this, I think these are both airline.
Well, you're correct.
Right.
And so certainly, when you contract with coach buses, you want to make sure they're vetted companies, have the proper insurance. We're also toying with the idea of doing our internal inspections as well. Some school districts do that. Full transparency, I don't know what that means, or who would be equipped to be able to just do a quick safety check on a bus before it leaves, but we're looking into that as well, just to be extra safe.
I would imagine your conference this weekend is going to speak a lot too.
Correct.
What happened as well. Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Seeing all hands raised, the motion passes unanimously. That brings us to board consent agenda item 4, personnel.
The administration recommends approval of personnel changes reflected in schedules H1 through H9.
H1 through H9. Motion and a second. Motion by trustee Flippin, seconded by trustee Kavanaugh. Any discussions? Seeing no discussions, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Seeing all hands raised, the motion passes unanimously. That brings us up to board consent agenda items for business.
Thank you, President Felice. The administration recommends approval of business items reflected in schedules I1 through I5.
Okay. Need a motion for I1 through I5? Motion. Who's going to have it first? Okay, we'll go with Vice President Hayes, seconded by trustee Kavanaugh. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Seeing all hands raised, the motion passes unanimously, and that brings us up to our final public commentary for non-agenda or agenda items. Anybody in the audience who hasn't filled out a card wish to speak? Okay,
May I say something?
yes.
So, very quickly, one of the consent items we passed was changing our next board meeting business date to October 24th instead of the 25th. The plan is, and just so the public knows, the reason we're changing that date is because there is an NYSCOSS conference in Buffalo scheduled for that week. And so for myself to be able to attend, I have to be at a board meeting. We can't have a board meeting without the superintendent, so we're looking just to move that board meeting till Tuesday instead of that Wednesday. So I just wanted to make the public aware.
Thank you. And we'll readily publicize that on the website.
Absolutely.
So that people are aware. So our next meeting is scheduled for, well, it's actually 2 meetings, and the next meeting is the 11th, and then the meeting after that, right, the 11th?
Correct.
The meeting after that will be the 24th, which will be the Tuesday instead of the Wednesday of October, the last meeting in October. Okay. Closing remarks? Any closing remarks? Do you have any more closing remarks?
No, I'm just excited about the school year, and
Okay.
excited to see great things happening here in the town.
With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion by trustee Kavanaugh, seconded by trustee Flippin. All those in favor? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much for your participation.
This was a real 7:59.